Daryl. Now I just imagine me having an invisibility cloak, carrying 2 canteens of water just to spite you. Like, just turn up. Like, are you hydrated?
Camouflage, baby.
It's a camouflage, man.
I swear to God, this is the worst interview ever. All right, welcome back to the Chaotic Pubcast, where we actually have a guest this week, which is usually how we do this. This week we have Daryl of Daryl Talks Games, a tank top enthusiast, a purveyor of psychology and gaming, likes to love and hate Pokemon. There's a lot of different things that we fold into Daryl, and we are always happy to have him back on the show. How you doing, man?
Dude, thank you for acknowledging that I'm a tank top enthusiast. I'm sorry I didn't wear one tonight. I'm a little chilly. Thought I'd be warmer tonight, but I do. I'm a big proponent of the tank top.
Does that mean that we all have to wear tank tops? Is it like
let's all go change. Actually, can we start it over?
Look, I'm already repping your channel with this comfy ass shirt. So
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it.
Look, I'm gonna be honest with you.
I find it funny that you introduce that whenever we introduce him as Daryl from Daryl Talks Games, because I like to imagine that his name's something different.
Kevin from Daryl Talks Games.
Yeah, my name is Craig. Actually,
he adopted the channel from someone else, but didn't change the names.
He bought it on AliExpress, and
did you acquire your chat? First question of the night: did you acquire your channel through a merger?
I did not. But you know what? Actually, I don't think. Actually, this might be a little inside baseball for y'all. No one knows this. That channel was not Daryl Talks Games to begin with. It was actually a cringy Let's Play for like a month, and then I was like, no one's watching this. The Let's Play format is dead, and I changed it. So the Gmail for my account is like specifically the name of the previous. Like I named the channel off of my stupid like Let's Play name, and I think I did like I started a Pokemon Nuzlocke, and then I played like Wario Land 4, and it was so cringy and dumb. And then so after about a month of just getting maybe 10 views, where 8 of them were me, I just
we know what that's like.
Yeah, I scrapped the whole thing, and then I started making other stuff. So yeah, they're deleted videos. So if you go back and look, I started like month or so before the channel actually began.
We dug up one of those videos, and we're actually going to put it up on the screen right here.
Really?
Yep. Yep, we got it from the vault, the dustbin. It's so funny. At least you knew when to quit, Daryl, because I have I have a Let's Play channel that has 374 videos worth of Let's Play content.
Really?
And they were all videos that were getting 9 to 10 views, and I just was relentless because I don't know when to quit.
You know, man, it's character building. It really is. You learn a lot about yourself in that time. Like, how much am I willing to do to make it? And is this the way? You know,
it wasn't.
No, it isn't. Now, if you had a time machine, you could go back to 2009. It would absolutely be the way.
Yeah. Oh, you know where to start.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I arrived on the scene like 5 years too late, so something like that. So it's hot.
That's why Z's still a hipster.
We're all but extinct at this point.
It's true.
Can we get you a tank top of that exact plaid?
That would be amazing.
I think we need that.
I would wear that so hard.
Would you?
Like, I totally would, man. Absolutely. Absolutely, breaking the status quo.
I don't know that I've ever put my eyes on a plaid tank top, although my wife did just very kindly deliver the tank top that you guys provided. That is now outdated, by the way. This is not the name of the channel anymore. Sort of. Maybe it is. Is it still a Tasmanian devil? Is that?
Yes.
It's not a bear.
It's definitely not a dog.
That was a whole thing. That was a whole thing last year.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh my God, has it been a year since you've been on the channel?
Well, no, so that came up. So when we had our tournament, for those that don't know, our little friend group has a tournament every year that we kind of get together in person and hang out. And Jesse was wearing the podcast hat, and then our buddy Nathan was like, Trey was like, is that a bear? And then he explained that no, it was a Tasmanian devil. So anytime a bear got brought up for the rest of the event, everyone was just like, oh, that's not actually a bear, that's a Tasmanian devil.
This was a constant running joke,
yes.
But I think I have footage of it where people were just like, Tasmanian devils.
Yeah.
Our actual artist who designed our new logo, the Chaos Included logo, literally has a bit on the episode we had her on that is like, I totally thought it was a bear.
Hey man, when it's drawn like that and it's not, like a fraction of the size of an actual bear, it's kind of hard to tell,
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So I am actually going to kind of dip my toes into asking some questions of our guest. I'm going to start with something pretty low ball standard, interview question. Interestingly enough. And one of the things is basically it's been a few months now since you transitioned away from doing specifically psychology and gaming and more of a kind of open topic of things you give a shit about.
That's right. I'm sophisticated now. Do you see the glasses?
I do see them. I think there's a lot more
trying
class.
to fit in with us.
Which, by the way, Steven, you didn't get the email this morning.
Come on,
I'm
man.
sorry. I'm sorry,
on,
guys.
Steven.
Mine are clear. You can't see them if I put them on. So I don't want to look as doofy as humanly possible today. Not like every other day. But the point is you've now made a video about elevators in video games, taking on a big adventure with your video game backlog over the next year, and even the cinematography in Pokemon. As far as your experience with kind of switching up your content so far, are you enjoying it more? Is it a little bit more successful? Like, what's your whole experience on that?
Yes and no. So I find that I have a lot more energy about it. Before it always felt like this puzzle of how do I talk about what I want to talk about, but make sure it like falls under the umbrella of psychology. And so that kind of was, for a while, it was interesting because it sort of taught me how to write something that nobody else is really talking about. But it also is like at this point sort of holding me back. And so that was the whole reason behind dropping it, not dropping it entirely. In fact, this next video might have quite a bit of psych in it. But I think being able to let go of that has really made me a lot more excited about some of the stuff that I'm making. Like, how can I talk about the psychology of elevators? So it was cool to be able to pull other stuff and talk about movies and Pokemon and talk about just strategies for doing the backlog. So yeah, I think it's been good in that regard. It's been tough because now I don't have like guidelines because it can now be about anything. It's kind of just sort of, okay, I need some kind of tether to condition, or I need some kind of rule. Like, it can't just be like, do what you want. There has to be a stipulation or a rule or something I have to connect it to. So that's why it's been tough. But overall, yeah, the energy level has been a lot more fun, and I'm very happy to have made the change.
That's to be honest with you.
Was it a deep answer? Y'all were like, wow,
yeah,
what
no. I think we were all trying to find a profound thing to say, to be honest with you. But to be honest with you, I didn't know that you not deviated, but like switched to go to do some more open content format. And
deviated is the right word. Yeah, you're good.
I mean, is that the word that your commenters use?
They use a lot of words.
Have you got any hate comments?
No. Honestly, and to say just on that's been extremely kind. People have been very cool about it. I've had lots of comments like, I don't really show it for the psychology. I show it for you, which is very kind. If there have been any mean comments, which I'm sure there have been, I haven't seen them. Or they just haven't said anything and they've like moved on, which is fine. That's your right as a YouTube viewer. So
yeah, give a thumbs down and leave.
Yeah.
All right. So Ryan, tell me. Let's present a question to Daryl from your pool of questions.
Oh, you don't want to start with mine.
Ooh.
You don't want to start with yours?
Keep on with the tame ones for a bit.
For a bit. Okay. So I get the idea that your pool is completely batshit insane. Z, do you have any low ball ones? Because I still have a couple.
Why don't you do the next one?
Okay, so I'm going to intercede for a moment before I ask another lowball question. I played Sea of Thieves with these motherfuckers last night, and all it was killing each other over and over and over as pirates.
Well,
I don't know if you know what the name of this channel is.
Is that the game where you can like drink ale in the game and like it makes the screen all blurry because you can get drunk? Okay, I thought it was.
That's what Z did the entire night.
I love it.
Absolutely. And he puked all over me.
Yeah, so you can like
which blocks
throw
the
up on
screen.
people.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it like obscures their view and everything. Like, look,
it.
I don't drink much in real life anymore, but in the world of Sea of Thieves, I am very much still the lush I once was. So
yeah, well.
Yes. Okay, so I'm gonna hit you with a fun question real quick.
All right, what you got?
And okay, so you and I are friends, IRL, as they say. I guess that's what they say. And you once shared an image of yourself on the shore of a lake on one of your various adventures and travel. Did you intend to parody the "I am cringe, but I am free" cow meme, or is that
No.
just my own internal lore?
No, that is just that is a deep rooted truth about me. But yes, I know that was not planned at all. That was truly, I was just looking out it was a lake, by the way, not an ocean. It was Yellowstone Lake. Yeah. And I was just looking out, and I had never seen like black sand on a beach before, and I've never seen a beach, but there also being mountains. I mean, the whole thing, it genuinely, and we were the only people there. Like, just to paint a picture for you, like, I had never seen anything like this. We were the only people there. It was off the beaten path, and we had just come off of a road that was extremely crowded. So it literally felt like we walked into this other dimension where it was just like we had slipped into another space and time, and there's just nobody there. So I just had this moment of looking out, like, it just felt like I was actually on another planet. So yeah, all those thoughts, unbeknownst to me, got captured on camera, and that's the story behind that picture. But I love that picture. It's the best.
It's a good picture. So how many tabs do you have open on your browser on average? Is it, I need to know. And this is for everybody. This is for everybody in this little conversation.
Yeah, I'm curious. But that was a really good pivot there. Very deep philosophical lake scene to tabs.
Look, you'd be surprised how many people want to know how many tabs Daryl Talks Games has open at once. We get emails every day about it. Hey, he's like, hey, remember that episode that Daryl was at? We got like 1,000 emails. Like, I wonder how many tabs that guy has open.
Oh, well, yeah, that makes sense.
We tagged you in like 3 tweets. You didn't respond.
That's the number one thing I get in my comments. I would say
it was actually Steven that emailed us 1,000 times.
Hey, how you can't do that? You can't out me like that. That's
were you the one with all
unacceptable.
those accounts on in my comment section?
Look, I'm
That's
very
a good
devoted.
question. That's a good question. I would have to say 8. That feels about right, right? I can't do too many. When they start getting really tiny and like the X's start to become the whole, like that freaks me out. So I would say about 8. That's about on average.
I'm a big fan of the Google tab grouping system. I'm a big fan of that. Yeah.
I'd say mine's probably about 10 to 12. And I'll tell you what's worse, man. When I'm editing episodes and I'm like downloading assets and stuff, it just goes. And I never close them because I'm like, oh, I might need to go back to that and get something else. And dude, it just gets like 100.
That's the sound of all the tabs opening.
That was a Google Tab machine gun.
You never opened a tab before, Steven? Damn.
At most, I have 3 open. At most.
Used to be able to only open a tab once every like a minute and a half because they function the same as Monk's.
Father Time, have mercy.
Yeah, it's because he hasn't figured out how to open more. He still thinks there's only 3 websites on the internet.
That's rude as hell, but a bunch of you guys don't know what GeoCities is, so go to hell.
I know what GeoCities is. You
shut up,
pleb.
His three tabs are like MapQuest, Ask Jeeves,
Jesus,
AOL.
Stop this.
Your Google Chrome icon says internet because your grandson put it there that way.
Let's get Daryl on an episode so we can bully Steven in front of an audience.
Oh, please. I'll go pop some popcorn. Keep going.
This is what they do every episode.
Well, yeah, it really is. Anyway.
So, I'd like to ask a couple other questions. Your channel is focused on gaming, anime, psych, a few other nerdy things. But do you feel like a little bit like there's some things that would surprise your audience, that you enjoy or you participate in? That
snuff films, the whole 9 yards.
I'm trying to decide if I'm not going to do that. An interest that y'all would. I play golf. Golf is really fun. That's the thing I do. I really like sports. I don't talk about it much because, my audience is like, you sports, but I actually really enjoy watching sports. I enjoy watching golf, which makes me a really rare breed, I feel. And you can't watch and enjoy golf unless you also play golf. So that would probably surprise you. Let me look around. What else? I play Magic the Gathering. We talk about, I think I've mentioned that before in passing on the channel.
Yeah, you mentioned Arena.
Yeah, it's the devil. But I played it for a while. I kind of stopped. I'm back into playing paper now. But yeah, I would say that's kind of it. Like to cook. Yeah, I would say the big one is a lot of my life has been I've done something very athletic. I'm not sort of stereotypical like sit around and play game. I have to like exercise or something. And I think a lot of people are that way, but they just don't talk about it. I think we all probably have some sort of like, you know, whether it's rock climbing or another physical activity that is not coming to mind. Like people, I think have stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know. I guess mine is golf. I play golf. It's just
Oh yeah, dude.
the old
I
man
go outside
sport.
all the time.
Oh,
yeah.
do you? I can tell by your tan.
No, actually, so yeah, so Steven, I realized I realized that you had talked to Daryl about it too the other day, but he brought it up to me as well about ever play golf, and it's something I actually really want to get into. I love golf as like a concept, and I not to brag, but I have completed a full PGA tour on PGA Tour 2K22.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Let's go.
It's his favorite game. He talks more about that game than anything else.
Unfortunately, I love Top Golf, and I can't hit the ball half the time. So
This is the part where we insert the video.
Golf
Absolutely.
Golf is a fucked up game, man. Like it's so unnatural. Like in what other sport do you hit something that's like beside you and also with a really crooked stick that's different lengths for each golf is so fucked up. It's such a shitty game.
I feel like Robin Williams' bit in the 2004 stand-up summed
Yes.
it up perfectly, which if you haven't seen that, go look it up. Just look up Robin Williams golf bit and you'll find it. But
Yeah.
I can't do it justice because I can't do Robin justice, but
Oh, you do this once? No, 18 fucking times.
It's so funny. So funny. Good
I think
Lord.
about that all the time. I think about it all the time.
when you have a stroke.
Yeah. That's why that's what
That
they
is
call
a
it,
golf
stroke.
pun. That is a great golf pun.
Have you ever seen the Ron White bit about Tiger Woods?
Oh no,
No.
I don't have.
He was talking about Tiger Woods and the whole Tiger Woods controversy and how, you know,
The scandal and all that.
he got caught with all these women and everything else. And he was talking about how men in America at the time, when they were like around their wives, were just like, they turned into foghorn leghorn about it. They were like, well, I can't believe he would commit such transgressions against his wife. And, you know, but then when they're around their buddies, they're like, wonder what kind of cologne he wears. It would smell just like that, dude. I was like 2 feet from Tiger one time. Actually, I went to a tournament.
Tell us that story.
I went to a tournament like 2 or 3 years ago. It was like 2 or 3 weeks before he won the Masters again in 2019, which was a massive deal. It's like one of the biggest comebacks in the history of sports. And I was on one green and we're watching him putt, and the crowd's just like, "Oh shit, here's fucking Tiger Woods putting." But I noticed that the group that was ahead of them walked on the cart, like by the cart path where the ropes were, where they keep the fans from walking in. And they're like reaching their hands out and like high-fiving Kevin Na and Louis Oosthuizen and whoever else is there that day. And so while they're watching Tiger putt, I'm like, well, fuck this. I go down there and I stand by the rope. And then literally like 2 minutes later, people start crowding around, but I'm already there. And then sure enough, here comes Tiger. Here comes Rory McIlroy, like in an arm's distance. It was the coolest experience of my life, man. Being that close to someone that I've like admired my entire fucking life.
Did you yell anything at him? Like, Tiger!
Yeah, I was like, let's go, Tiger. Yeah, everybody was doing it.
Yeah.
That was cool
man.
as
That's
hell.
awesome. Such a great experience to encounter like people you actually like. I hate idolize. I think respect is a better term.
You know, yeah, I think respect is a way. Like, I don't like hero worship personally, you know, but I do respect the work of people. You know,
There's something inherently uncomfortable about it, right?
Yeah, like I feel like if you hero worship, it's detrimental to yourself because then you try and just make yourself like that person and not yourself. Kind of it's a little simplified layman's terms of it, but yeah, that's why hero worship always kind of puts me off. So, but we have some more questions.
All right, you guys start throwing some weird ones out there. I still have some weird ones of my own and a couple decent ones, but like I can't be the only one asking questions on this podcast.
I have one for y'all.
Let's
go.
I would love it.
How have you guys enjoyed the transition from kind of what was the chaotic pubcast to like overall chaos entertainment included? Like, how have you guys? Like, there's been a lot of shorts recently. Like, are y'all enjoying it? What are you liking? What are you not liking? Like, how's that going, man?
Yeah, so I think our main bag. So the whole reason for the switch to chaos included was so we weren't so much pigeonholed into like one thing. We wanted to have like a few different outlets because at first we were kind of doing everything under one banner, and like you get a tall tale this week, and then we're talking video games the next week, and then like, and it was just like you never knew what you were gonna get. So Underground was our first big move because we all like talking tall tales and history and crazy sci-fi stories and stuff like that. And I think we can all agree that's kind of like our main bag now. Like that's kind of our like, hey, we need to get this out, and we really enjoy researching the stories and telling each other about them.
Yeah.
But it's opened up other avenues.
The asshole yokai.
Yeah, that's the asshole yokai.
Is that my legacy?
Am I allowed to curse? I just remembered. Is it good to curse?
Yes,
Is that cool?
absolutely.
Oh, yeah. No, our next episode is on the LDS Church, so
don't
want to piss them off.
So it's given us room to explore like a lot of new cool ideas, right?
Yeah.
Like me and not to let the cat out of the bag, but me and Steven, well, I mean, we both kind of had the idea, and then we both found out we had the idea, and now they're kind of together. But doing some cooking stuff, and I know you said you like to cook too. We're really excited about that. And I don't know, it's been really nice to have like specific lanes for different topics.
I, for one, have specifically liked it for the fact of when we first started like doing it and like kind of getting a feel for each other and, you know, our workflow. The main thing I wanted to happen is that for us to get systems in place and for everything to just kind of become in a way autonomous, you know? So when I feel like when we switched over to Chaos Included, that's when it kind of switched in my head. It's like, we are now autonomous. And so for me, it's been freaking dope because there's like protocols now with us, which is weird because I've never really been a part of like any kind of project where we actually set protocols in place. It's usually just like, oh yeah, I guess I'll edit this week. Oh, I guess I'll edit this week. Yeah. So
it's important to have that structure.
Yeah, and I'm somebody who doesn't like structure usually, and it's actually a breath of fresh air that it's happening in an aspect of my life that's actually kind of always chaotic, no pun intended. So
yeah, gotta have it, man.
Yeah. I'm loving just talking about stuff again all the time. as you know, I had like a anime video game centric podcast with our buddy Trey, of course, but it was very intense. Like we both had very like specific schedules, so sometimes it would be like, okay, we record tonight and edit the same night and then try to get it out. It's very, you know, hard to manage. But when you come into this with like more people on the team, a little more focus, we get like a backlog. So there are different stuff for different parts of it that we can record in 1 week, and then if we don't want to release once a week, so we have a little bit of leeway, that's a possibility.
It was 112 episodes, about the same episode of Fooly Cooly. So you know, it was.
Look, Fooly Cooly is the #1 anime of all time. All right, so.
Well, are you going to ask me some anime questions later? I would love to talk about anime.
So I actually have I have a generic anime question, and then I have some more specific shit. Yeah. So that's
good for y'all, man. I will tell you that, especially in the early going, I feel like it's so important to like just branch out and just try stuff and accept that like the point of this is to enjoy yourself and to learn. And if you can do those two things, like that's when people reach out, that's always my advice. I'm like, just try stuff and learn. Like it may take you a few years, and even if you have 100 subscribers, you at least now have these skills cultivated and you understand what you get excited about. And like, that's to me way more important.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, not to get all gooey here for a second, but the best part about this is like the friendships kind of created, right? Like, I love these guys to death, man.
Sure.
So it's like, cool, moving on. Anyways,
I have a hard time letting people in.
I hear you.
So one of my favorite questions to ask, I got Z with this one before. I think it really answers a lot of questions. Is if you could have one piece of spy equipment, what would it be and why?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Let me.
You just got Ryan'd.
You know this question. So this is. There's a term that they taught us in, or the term that I got taught in undergrad. It was about like one of the more boring psych classes was about like testing, and if your test actually gets it, it's like the validity of your test with where it actually tests. This feels like actually a question of how many spy movies have you seen? Because I'm sitting here like all I can think of is Grappling Hook. So
that's a pretty good one, though.
I guess I'm just going to go with a grappling hook because I'd like to ascend tall buildings, even though I never see that. So sure.
What would be the first building you ascended?
You know what? Take the grappling hook back. I'm uncomfortable now that I thought about actually going with Let me get the shoe that's got like
The phone in it? The shoe phone?
bingo. The shoe
Yeah,
phone. I was gonna say knife phone, but I have a phone. No, why do I need that? This is a really tough question. What do I actually want? Scratch the shoe. Fuck the shoe.
I mean,
Hang on,
I know exactly what I would pick personally.
Laser pen.
Oh, close.
I don't think that's even spy equipment. I think they sell those at Staples.
No, the car. Give me just the James Bond car. Give me the whole ass car.
Okay.
Bingo.
Well,
Final answer.
with respect, that's like picking 20 devices in one, but I'll let it happen.
Well, with respect, I can drive it in one piece. So
Hey, one button activates everything, so it works.
See, it's Daryl Talks Games. He gets what he wants.
I wish that were true, but
With respect, the classic James Bond car is an Aston Martin, so you could get it with no spy equipment.
I'll take
sell
that.
the Aston Martin and then buy all the spy equipment you want.
No, you went too far. I'm just gonna keep the car.
What spy equipment would you want, Steven?
Yeah, what do y'all want? Let's see.
Steven, what do you want?
Let's see here.
Oh, great.
To be able to open more than 3 tabs.
Active camouflage. So I can sneak up on you and smack you in the fucking face.
So you could become a camel at any moment.
I said camouflage.
I heard camouflage.
What would be the first thing you did with your new near invisibility?
Store water in his humps.
Cosplay as Harry Potter at Comic-Con.
Camouflage.
Daryl. Now I just imagine me having an invisibility cloak, carrying 2 canteens of water just to spite you. Like, just turn up and like, are you hydrated?
Like, why is he carrying those kegs? Oh, he's a camouflage.
Camouflage, baby.
It's a camouflage, man.
I swear to God, this is the worst interview ever.
Ryan, what about you? You're not safe here.
I needed some inspiration. So while you guys were talking, I literally Googled a list of like crazy spy equipment. You know what the number one is? Poison-tipped umbrellas.
That's a penguin weapon.
That's a very cruel thing to do. Hi, I have an umbrella. Ah! Die slowly.
What terrible weather we're having.
You're dead. All right. So is that your choice, Ryan?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't even know it existed 5 minutes ago.
Way to min-max that. You picked the
He's
one
like,
at the
what
top
do
of
you
the
mean?
list.
He's like, why would you even ask that? Of course it's my option. Of course it's my pick.
Oh, man.
All right, Z. Let's hear one of your questions. Let's see what Z's got.
Why don't we cross into anime a little bit?
All right.
It's nothing because since I am the of the 4 of us, I'm the weakest with anime. But I do.
Oh, I don't know about that.
But I'll ask you kind of a generic one to kind of get us started because I'm sure Steven and Ryan will get into the full detail of it. If you could change the ending of any anime, which one would you choose and how would you change it? Bada bing, bada boom.
Steven, did you plant this? Did you plant this question?
This was generated by my good friend ChatGPT.
I fucking hate you.
And if you want to check out our AI episode, you can watch it right here.
I'm gonna keep this short. I would change the ending of Ichigo 100%.
I knew it. I knew it. I was
so
waiting.
that it wouldn't have ruined my life last year.
How did it ruin your life?
I don't want to.
Oh,
I'm getting
yeah,
like
he's done
flashbacks. I did a whole rant about this on stream last year. In a nutshell, it is a slice of life / romance / harem, which basically just means it's The Bachelor, but in anime form. I don't know why I get so invested in these, but I do. Yeah, it's exactly what it is. I don't know why I get so invested in these, but I do. And he ended up with the wrong girl, and it pissed me off because the manga made it extremely clear from the get-go that like
Who
this
the best
character
girl
is
was.
Exactly. This is the underdog. This is who you're rooting for. You got it. Cool. And it felt like in the final act, just to be unexpected, they were like, we're not doing that.
So you felt like you were actually done dirty by the writers on that.
It felt like they broke into my house and like castrated me. It was the most unimaginable pain I've ever felt from a story in my entire life.
Look, to be fair, like the character that is in the ending of this series literally disappears for the majority of the series. Like she's at the beginning, disappears, comes back.
And then it's fucking clear that she's there just to make it the... I'm not doing this. Next question.
Wow, that's the one that got you?
God damn it.
Wow, we
He's
have about...
passionate about
I
this.
got about 15 more. Just kidding.
I was this close to making a whole ass actual for the channel video about it because I was that upset. And like, I feel like that means like, and obviously I joke, but like I was really upset. And I feel like that means something. Like whether, even if you're, whether you're happy or sad or upset or whatever, like when you feel that intensely about something, that could be something special to talk about. So I don't know. Maybe I'll make it a video one day.
So I'm about to interrupt. I apologize. But if you were going to watch, so like when you watch anime, do you think that animation quality is more important or story is more important?
I think that they can each stand without the other if they're good enough. So if the animation is kind of lackluster, I'll give you an example. Netflix put out recently, I don't know if you guys have heard of Way of the House Husband.
Oh yeah.
They did some of it.
Yeah, Netflix did an adaptation of it, and it's extremely minimalist. Like they honestly hardly animate anything. It's almost like watching a PowerPoint presentation, but they do a handful of things here and there. But it's so charming and quirky and fun. The voice acting is good. Like I still enjoyed it. It just wasn't like, it wasn't like Demon Slayer. Speaking of Demon Slayer, that show looks incredible. It stands on its own as an animation. As a story, that's a little vanilla shonen. Okay.
Yeah.
Vanilla's fine. People like vanilla. But my point is if that show is animated poorly, no one would be talking about it because the story cannot stand on its own. So I feel like the true, the true masterpieces whenever you find both, whenever both things work together perfectly. And that's not to say that like one style of art is bad or one style of art is bad, one is good or anything like that. I think if the story and the animation work in harmony, whether it means like you have some crazy 60 frames per second looking fight scenes with everything you want, or if it's just like simple, simplistic, cinematography that just fits, as long as they work together in harmony, I think that's what you're really what you're really looking for. Sorry, enunciation is hard sometimes.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah. No, I agree with you 100%. And I kind of said the same thing about Demon Slayer. I think a lot of people made that point about Demon Slayer. But there's so many shows that I love that I'm just like, I wish they would just step up the animation, just like another step.
Yeah.
And everyone would talk about it, right? But
I got you, baby. Here's a solution for you right here. You ready for this? Read it. Read it. It's the solution. Your mind will fill in the blanks.
Oh my gosh. It's that's an interesting topic you bring up, is the manga versus anime thing. And I think that if I had to recommend anything that really kind of sells it well is Giga recent like last month or so released the manga is better or the anime is better kind of video. And he actually talks about how in some cases they add in filler stuff that has way more impact than just the manga, specifically like some stuff from Naruto. Yeah. And if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's great. It's a great video. It has a good amount of humor, but it does really highlight why it's important to enjoy both. But sometimes all you get is the manga, and so you don't get to choose that. And so I see its importance.
And I watched that video. I think it was like a couple months ago, and maybe he said this, but if he didn't, like I feel like it bears. If he did or if he didn't, I feel like it bears repeating. But we're so fortunate as fans of this medium to be able to go, all right, I didn't like the anime, I'm gonna read the manga, or vice versa. Or I enjoyed one so much, I'll do the other. Oh, by the way, one is voiced in English, one is voiced in Japanese. You mean I get two different performances? Like, think about the fact that Star Wars Episode 4 has one version. Yeah. You watch the film, and there it is. You don't get. I mean, I guess they do have like novelizations of it, but I mean, most stories have one set of actors that hack the movie, and that's it. Maybe there's source material, but like you don't have quite the same analogous like. Here's how the panel was drawn here. Here's how they animated it. Like it's such a unique medium in that we get to experience it in multiple ways. I think that's something that people get upset about because they're like, oh, they didn't do this scene right, or they didn't live up to my expectations. So maybe it's a double-edged sword. But I mean, think about the fact that you get to experience it in multiple ways. It's kind of amazing.
Yeah. So Father Time's going to jump in and make you guys realize you guys live in an era of plenty. When I was growing up and getting into anime in the first place, I literally had to walk off of base I'm about to sound older. Than I thought.
Before tabs.
I walked uphill both ways to the movie theater.
I had to go to a comic book store and see. God damn it! See,
Here he goes again. Back in my day.
I hate all of you.
I was listening, Steve. I knew where it was going, but I was still listening.
So essentially, I had
Back
to
when it was Japanimation.
It was Japanimation at the time. Manga was released in the format of traditional comics. You'd have to actually equate like a volume. They would release like 5 or 6 American comic style entries for you to get the same kind of thing. And there was only like, oh my goddess, Battle Angel Alita, Rama 1/2. That you had to go to a comic store to find this stuff, and you didn't get to log into Crunchyroll. You didn't get to look at manga scans from Google or other things like that. You literally had to go seek this stuff out. A single volume of Rama 1/2 was $24.98 in 1990 money.
Jeez.
Yeah, and so. And the thing is, you get bootleg videos or fan stuff video like VHS from Dragon's Lair down in San Antonio. I used to go rent them from there. It was the only way to watch this stuff. And it was
to kind of like add on to like give you a little layer to your point there, Steven. Like I had a weird, really awesome experience with anime as a kid, but a very sad experience with anime as a kid because I would watch it or I'd see it somewhere at a friend's house or at a movie theater or at a card shop or at Haster's Hobby, which is the local hobby shop here in Utah. But I'd see it, never learn the name, never learn where it came from, what it was, but I fucking loved it. And then I would embark on this epic quest for the rest of my life trying to figure out what the hell I saw and and where to find it. And I could not find it or like, so that was my life. And then fast forward like 20 years, I'm walking down the mall, you just see it on a clip, like it's everywhere, like, or it's on my Crunchyroll queue. And I'm like, holy shit. And then the next thing you know, I'm watching Appleseed that I did.
Amazing.
Appleseed.
That I had no idea what it was called back when I was playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Because it was, anyway.
I have a really good question for y'all.
Oh boy, here we go.
Speaking of anime, for a lot of us, maybe not Steven included, but for a lot of us who grew up with Dragon Ball Z, Naruto and Dragon Ball Z on Toonami, that was what you knew, right?
Yes.
And so typical shonen. What was your first time ever experiencing an anime that just went, that was not a shonen and we just went completely off the fucking rails? My example is I one day stumbled upon Elfen Lied, you know what I'm talking about? I just stumbled upon it and I watched it and I remember just being like, oh my fucking God. Like I had no clue that it could be that. Like in my mind, anime was Dragon Ball Z and anime was Naruto and anime was Yu Yu Hakusho. Like I had never seen anything that just went that balls to the wall. And by the way, in case you haven't watched, because it's a really obscure show. Basically, this girl has like invisible arms that vibrate at like an extreme frequency, and so she can basically just like kill people at will. And some of the brutality of the deaths, and some of the just how morbidly, what's the word I'm looking for? Hopeless it felt the entire time. It was like a 12-episode show, and there were so many just straight sad things that happened. Like nothing happy happened in this show. But it was like an old early 2000s anime. And I just remember thinking like, oh, this is fucked. Yeah. What else is like this? So did y'all have anything like that? Or was that just me that kind of had that first jumping off into like, oh, this is how weird it can get?
So like, I guess I'll start since I feel like I'm the most white bread when it comes to anime amongst y'all. No.
Cool.
No. Well, no, like, no, I'll elaborate. Like, it's a matter of like, I just wasn't exposed to it enough. And I think honestly, like, and I hate to circle back to the same story, but when I was playing Yu-Gi-Oh! In this card shop and they had Appleseed on, my first experience with anime, like being like, to quote you directly, of like, oh, this is what it can be, is when it showed the girl in her underwear in Appleseed, and my little 13-year-old mind was like, oh God. And then you discover hentai, and then the rabbit hole opens, and there you are. And then
you were like, pause, enhance.
It was the first time I seen anything remotely close to a female butt. So
yeah, my my anime horizons didn't really start opening up until later in my life, probably like, I don't know, 8 years ago or so. And like you said, back in the day when I was a kid, I would always like, stay up and I would watch Naruto or Dragon Ball or whatever, but I didn't really like explore outside of that. Like you said, like there wasn't Crunchyroll that we could just log on. But later on in life, like I started exploring, and it's just seeing how dark stuff could get, and also how like lighthearted stuff could get. Like I love slice of life animes, right? And
that's where I am now. I'm like, it can get this bright.
Yeah, exactly.
I started watching Bochi. I was like, oh,
nice.
If an anime can make me cry either way, sad or happy, it's like a good anime. But I did start catching like Ghibli movies really early on, like before I really got into other anime, and just the depth of those movies. Not so much like goriness. I mean, there is some of that too, but just how deep an anime could be is really cool. It wasn't just like fighting scenes, right? It was like actual parables built in and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Steven?
Okay. Yeah, here we go.
Oh, God.
So way back when Toonami didn't exist, you had Sci-Fi Channel and USA Network were the only places where
you had Fire and the Wheel and
come on, man, I was invested that time. I was about to say USA Network aired anime. What the fuck?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
So, no clue.
So this was in the early 90s, and
you had USA? I thought it was just 3 channels. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. I had a friend who had USA on cable, and they would air anime on Sci-Fi Channel and USA Network at 4:30 and 5 o'clock in the morning. So I would get up to go hang out with my friend who had USA Network to watch things like Blue Seed, Ronin Warriors. Yeah. Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z. Like when it first showed, it was done by Dick or DIC.
Yeah.
And so they only had up to like a small portion of the Frieza saga, and then it just started over. And that I watched that happen 3 times. It's one of the reasons why I never went back to watch Dragon Ball Z, is because by the time they brought everything over here, I had moved on to bigger and better things.
Had the plot memorized too.
Yeah, so in there, no one actually got bloodied or anything like that. They just were very dirty at the end of their fights. But the show that really kind of like changed anime for me, because Dragon Ball Z, you got fights. Ronin Warriors, you got transforming in fights. Sailor Moon, you got transforming and fighting, and girls being goofy and trying to like land weird tuxedoed hot dudes that are way older than them.
That show confused the hell out of me as a kid. Moving on, continue.
Anyways, that show was Robotech, which is actually an American version of 3 different anime. Robotech was basically an English version of Super Dimensional Fortress Macross. And the reason why this was really different was because cool mechs, awesome, F-14s that turn into robots that shoot at other robots. And yeah, that's the one. And the first arc of that story is actually really cool about, this teleporting space battleship that gets attacked by aliens on Earth, and to save Earth from them, they teleport away and they take the town with them. And so they have to literally rebuild the town and house civilians within the spaceship while battling off aliens as they try to get back to Earth. Mm-hmm. And of course, there's like interpersonal relationships between fighter pilots and the other members of the military on like the bridge, and then the civilians. And then, aliens start to kind of encounter things like music and culture, which they don't have because they're all clones.
Oh, I can see perfect picture being painted. Yeah.
There's so much to really take in. And it was the first time I was like, I'm invested in people's relationships. I want to see this person fall in love with this person, not that person. That person's a scumbag. I hope they get smashed by a robot. I want to see people succeed and fail, and it was about more than just robots fighting each other. And it was
why is it always the mechs that do that, like that, and Ava and Darling and the Franxx and why, and Gurren Lagann, like why is it that all these mech shows tackle these deep themes about what it means to be human and relationships? Like, why is that the case? I don't know, man.
Yeah, I actually think it's because of Tomino. So I think it's Yoshiyuki Tomino, the creator of Mobile Suit Gundam.
Was that
his original?
That makes sense.
What was Mobile Suit Gundam like the first big mecha anime then?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Because I know Gundam, and I've seen quite a few episodes of Gundam. I just didn't know if it like historically if it was like the first.
So there are two sci-fi robot based anime that existed in the 70s that really kind of changed the genre from combiners and just like angst driven battles with evil organizations, and that was a space battleship Yamato and Mobile Suit Gundam. Mobile Suit Gundam covering things about the horrors of war and what happens when you give an object of mass destruction into the hands of one side, and like you start learning about all the different sides and their values, and that the fact that they're all still people, they all have their own motivations, and war is hell. And it's got a lot of stuff like that. And then Space Battleship Yamato was like that as well. A lot of interpersonal relationships between the crew and how that affects war as they travel through space. I mean, it's the guy. I mean, Robotech or Superdimensional Fortress Macross, the captain has a specific look, and it is literally a copy and paste from Space Battleship Yamato.
Mm-hmm.
It's really when it took mechs away from fun toy-driven combiners into actual character development and real emotion. And that changed me forever when it came to anime.
Damn it. See, this just makes me want to go play Xenogears because I've heard that that's really good. I watched the intro of Xenogears and like what again? Why giant robots and feelies? What is going on?
Xenogears is to this day, as far as story goes, incredibly convoluted. But
Yes,
if you actually take the time to like research it and appreciate the game for what it is, it's one of the best RPGs I've ever played, and it has one of the best stories I've ever seen, and some of the best animation and cutscenes I've seen too.
And it's not finished, right? Like you beat the game and it's like a cliffhanger, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I fucking have fond memories of that game. I fully intend to play through that game again. It's been 20 years since I played it, so.
I want to make a video. The guy that created Xenogears, I knew his name because I was looking it up the other day, but he was working for Square Enix at one point whenever they were trying to come up with the plot of Final Fantasy VII.
Mm-hmm.
That Xenogears was almost Final Fantasy VII, but they thought it was too complicated or something along those lines, and they went with another script. Then he went off on his own.
Wait.
Slowly.
I'm
This
not
is true.
I'm not trying to cut you off, Daryl, but wait. So they thought Xenogears was too complicated, so they went with the more simplistic script of Final Fantasy VII.
Look, I'm paraphrasing. It may not be that it was complicated. It might just be that like that they didn't like the vision. But regardless, like he went off on his own, and that's how the Xenosaga, that's how Xenogear, Xenosaga, and Xenoblade stuff all became a thing. So without Final Fantasy VII as it is now, that whole series apparently doesn't exist, which is kind of insane.
Kind of cool.
So I kind of want to make a video on that at some point, but it's obviously a lot more details need to be nailed down.
Posting that tomorrow, right?
Oh yeah, no, it's done already.
It's done already.
So I'm gonna tell two more stories real quick. One about the anime. So early in the days of anime, you had to go to a Sam Goody or Suncoast Motion Picture Company to buy your anime, and DVDs and VHS.
Suncoast, man.
Yeah. Oh, I love that store. That's where, but you could only go look at the covers, and you didn't know what you were getting. And it turns out during that period of time, no one knew jack shit about anime. So they put hentai and anime in the same area. So yes. So you're looking through, and you see Trigun, you're like, oh, look at the cool hair, and he's like got a gun, and it looks Western. That's awesome. This is a Dragon Knight. That sounds like fun fantasy. What is this? Demon Beast Invasion. That sounds like a lot of fun. I should watch this.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
What kind of invasion we talking?
What's Demon Beast Invasion, Father Time?
Oh Lord, it is a ultra violent, ultra sexualized kind of like story about demons invading Earth. And it's
what would be hilarious is if right as you started to explain it, you just like cut to black and just said like, this video has been removed for content purposes. Like,
look, I'm about to tell you what was in the first scene. The first scene is literally a dude banging a chick, and when he's about to come, she explodes, and he turns into a demon.
So it's like the opposite of the beginning of Berserk.
I'll put it on the watch list.
All right, moving. All right, so in the chaos included Discord, we're doing a watch party of Demon Beast Invasion.
You can find the link below.
You can,
Absolutely.
and keep an eye out for our Demon Beast Invasion episode. You can watch that right here.
But the other thing I was going to talk about is you were talking about the Xeno saga, and one of the things about it is the original. So we know Xenoblade Chronicles is this huge franchise for Nintendo now. Yeah, but at one time, they were never going to release it here.
Yeah, you tell me there's like a whole project that it had to be like brought over to America because there was like a whole petition and movement, something at some point.
Yes, it was called Project Rainfall, and it involved 3 games, and that is The Last Story, which was made by Mistwalker, which is Sakaguchi's studio that he made, Pandora's Tower, and specifically Xenoblade Chronicles for the Wii. And it got so much attention that GameStop themselves licensed that game and released it. Not Nintendo.
Pandora's Tower was cool as hell too.
Yeah, it got all 3 of those games were released in America specifically because of Project Rainfall.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's a fun little kind of it's a really cool case where petitions actually did something. It's a perfect storm.
Hell yeah.
Ryan, I require you to ask one of your questions at this point.
I just finished watching the scene where he turns into the demon.
I'm glad you enjoyed that. Glad we're just going from the top up. So there are two more questions definitely on like subjects you give a shit about that I'd like to hit. So essentially, I've known you for a few years now, and primarily you were a Smash player before we really got into the LTIT. That's our little gathering. So now that you've been playing 2D fighters for a couple of years, is it something you enjoy more than Smash, or are you still primarily more of a Smash player?
It's just so different, man. I don't even think of them the same, honestly. Like, there are transferable skills, like playing neutral, but Smash is just such a different baby because you can just die accidentally, or you could someone could kill you in an easier manner than you could in a 2D fighter because you have health. It's just it's completely different. Which one do I like better? Probably still Smash, just because I'm best at it compared to 2D fighters. But there's a unique thrill I get out of traditional fighting games because they're honest.
Who's your current Smash main right now?
I mess around with Ness and Lucina.
Nice. Hell yeah.
And sometimes I will dabble in some Jigglypuff, but I'm terrible at Jigglypuff. But it's fun.
Yeah, you are.
I don't know if I go that far. Like, you didn't have to. I already put myself down. You didn't have to fucking kick. But no, you're right.
Sorry.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, though. I used to be a lot more into fighting games than I currently am. Yeah. I still enjoy them. I just haven't been able to get as deep. But I never consider. I always put Smash in its own corner.
Yeah.
Like I don't consider it like in the same genre as any other fighting game. It's just it's not. You're right. There are a few transferable skills, but it's by far a whole different skill set and a strategy.
Straight up. And the mental game is also transferable, like being patient, like allowing them to make a mistake or not trying to force something, like just taking what they give you, like all those type of things are very similar. But yeah, it's one is speaking, it's just different languages, you're still using your mouth, but it's different languages.
So as a tack on question, is there any 2D fighters that are not Street Fighter 6 that you're excited that you would like to play, that you'd like to try even?
DNF Duel looks great. I've played Blaze Blue Central Fiction, and I would love to play that again in the future. Every time I see it on sale, I'm like, I'm almost gonna. I don't quite do it. But yeah, I don't know. My thing about it is I have what makes 2D fighters tough for me is memorizing combos and memorizing like how characters work, and I get mixed whenever I have too many things I'm trying to memorize, and I can't really have fun unless I'm like going all in, it's like, I don't know, there's not really a good metaphor for it, but it's just, if I'm trying to learn this character, I want to actually do it all the way. I don't want to like kind of dabble, because then it's just not fun because I can't win, and winning is fun. If I lose, I hate myself. Right. So like, I think that's why I'm most excited for Street Fighter 6, because like,
I know so many of those combos and moves just because I've used them my whole life, right? And then jumping into something new, you get frustrated trying to learn new moves and stuff, especially if you're doing multiple games at one time.
Yes, for sure.
I actually want to know this actual question. So you popped into one of my streams one night, Daryl, and I was playing one of my local friends, Dumb Luck. Check out his album, and it seemed like you were a fan of music. And if you could pick one song or one musician that you had to listen to for the rest of your life, who would it be? I know it's a very generic, but like I feel like it's an important aspect. Music is how I get to know people. So
it's a tough question because what I do, my relationship with music is as follows. If I love a song, I will actually stop listening to it because I don't want it to lose its allure. You know, like I feel like once I've heard it for the fifth time, I'm like, okay, I got to pump the brakes because I'm borderline it getting annoying. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Once I've heard it 100 times, it's like, man, I wish I could hear it for the first time again. That's kind of how I am. So I have
what a feeling.
Yeah, it's so frustrating, but I have to like pump the brakes a lot if I really, really like a song. Like there's one song. What's the song in the second Ava movie, Steven, where it's a song by Utada Hikaru, and it's like, and it's one of those, whatever. I listened to that song maybe 5 or 6 times in my life, but it's because like it's the most emotional shit ever. To answer your question, I would hate to pick one artist, but if I had to, I would probably pick Raleigh Ritchie, who is if you've watched Game of Thrones, he plays Grey Worm. Jacob Anderson, I think is his real name.
Yeah, I've actually heard a few of his songs. He's fucking rad.
I love his music so much. That my favorite song of all time is a song he does called "Time in a Tree," and that song is like, if you want to like take a glimpse into my soul, like through a peephole, like that song is it. I love it so much. I love a lot of his stuff. Another one he does that's really good is Squares. Another one is Party Fear. That's a fun one. Basically, it's just Birthday Girl's a really good one. Basically, it's just all of his songs I feel like kind of capture the whole idea of like you're just trying to be a good person in a world that really stresses you out. And I think that's pretty much what his music communicates. So I love him. That would be my answer.
For my own future reference, his whole music encompasses what's like to be in a world when it's stressing you out. And is there a specific song? Because
well, I mean, I would say that's the overall theme, but he has a lot of them. Like there's one about like not liking being at parties, but doing his best. He has one about like, you know, his relationship with his family, relationship with, you know, his son, everything like that. So
cool. I'll go down that rabbit hole. I'll go.
Yeah, please do. Lovely stuff.
Will do. Absolutely.
All right. So to wrap this up with one last question on my part, I'm going to start by I'm going to ask a question that's going to decide which question I ask. How do you feel about personal questions like that? Ask about you as a person.
Please.
All right.
Yeah, sure.
Awesome. So
Dude,
one of the
I'm so narcissistic. Please just ask me all that shit.
Must be nice to have that hairline.
Enthusiastic.
Jesus.
While I have it.
While you have it. Yeah. So this is a question that is one I've thought about, and so you and I have talked about a lot of different storylines and different releases of media and stories, and a lot of occasions you always kind of frame it to be a little funny, but you will sometimes refer to as, I really want this story to destroy me. I really want it to make me feel something. And I really am kind of curious about what the source of that is. Like, is it supposed to just be a joke, or are you actually wanting, like, searching desperately for an emotional connection that you can't get somewhere else?
You know, man, let me think before I just start blurting out answers here. I think that the answer is yes. Like, I don't think that's a joke at all. I think I genuinely do want something like and it's not to say that I want to be sad per se. I just want something that makes me care. You know, like there are games that I've played that made me mad because they, you know, ended badly. Not even if it wasn't the story, even if the game just got really frustrated. Like I just want to be fired up about something. Nothing makes me more upset than playing or consuming something that was just kind of middle of the road, you know? I don't care if it upsets me. I don't care if it makes me happy, cry. I don't care if it makes me sob, sadness. Whatever it is. Like we mentioned Ichigo 100 earlier and how much I hated it. I'm so grateful I read that because like like legitimately my experience was finishing reading it at like 11 o'clock that night and just like laying there and being so upset. And then for like 2 hours, like not being able to sleep, just running the story back through my head, thinking of all the plot points, like how it should have ended differently. I want that, man. Like I want something that's going to capture my imagination, even if it's for the worst. Like I want to feel like I did something that I will remember thinking about, you know what I mean? So yeah, I would say it's not a joke at all. I want something that's going to completely mess with me because that's what I feel like media should do.
Dude, I agree.
100%.
Makes sense.
And I have that exact same sentiment towards all media.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, anything that moves you is art. So yeah.
This is one of the reasons why FLCL, even though it's decades old at this point, is my favorite anime of all time. Not only for like its animation, but while it highlights a lot of times, like people bring up the whole like adolescence and coming of age, but what they don't really address is the fact that it also covers a lot of what adults have to go through. You have the character with the fake eyebrows, and he's had to adjust. He didn't want to. He didn't want to grow up and be an adult. And now he's seeing this kid literally do what he wanted, and he feels like a failure in that moment. But he thought he made the right decision. It was such it hit me in a lot of ways when I was watching it as a teenager, and then later on as an adult. And it was a big changer for me.
Yeah, man. And I think, I go back and forth with how I feel about this, but I don't know if you remember back whenever Darling in the Franxx was running, the Ichigo was like a kind of a villainous at one point in the story, and her voice actress got like all kinds of hate mail and death threats on Twitter, which is obviously horrible, the fact that people would do that. But also that means you've captured people's imagination for them to care that much. You know what I mean? I feel like, and obviously it's horrible for people to behave that way, but I feel like the fact that emotions like that strong were created, I feel like there's something beautiful in that. You know what I mean? So for better or for worse, I just kind of want something that makes me get that fired up. I guess that's
great to hear. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap us up at this point. I hope everybody has had a good time. Hosts included and people, anybody listening. Daryl is always a joy to have on the show. He's a great friend. We're probably going to fight each other in fighting games later this year, and we're looking forward to it. But thank you for joining us on the show. You got anything you want to say, ask?
I just want to thank y'all for having me, and thank you guys for talking and being friends. Honestly, I just appreciate it. You guys' channel is Daryl Talks Games. Check it out. I don't care. But I just appreciate y'all so much for watching or for being friends and for having me on the show. And yeah, enjoyed it, man.
That was a great time. All right, guys. Well, thank you for watching Chaotic Pubcast. You can catch us on Instagram, Spotify if you hate our faces, and various other social media platforms that we occasionally post every once in a while. But in the meantime, thanks for listening. Thanks for joining us, Daryl, Z, Ryan.
Like, comment, and subscribe, bitches.
So aggressive.
Effective. Demand it. They'll give it to you.
All right, I love you all.
Have a good night.
Bye.